Hey, what's up, everybody? Bdf coming at you another video. All right, so it's something else I wanted to talk about on the therapy session side of the game. And look, I haven't really followed a whole lot of this, but I did feel like I should mention it to say something. I saw an excerpt today. I don't remember who posted it on Instagram, but it was of a little child in immigration court representing himself. And the child couldn't have been older than 3. And the judge was asking him questions about whether or not he knew why he was there and what the situation was about. You know, that is unacceptable. America, your leadership is out of control. That's what I want to say. I'm hearing a lot of conversations about people who are citizens being sent off to South America, one of the countries in South America, I don't remember exactly which one it is, into jails that are structured strictly for highly violent gang member criminals. In one situation, a gentleman, from what I understand, was sent there accidentally but not sent back. I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing? And look, the problem that I'm finding is there was never any solution as it pertains to which side of the political fence that you vote for to assure these type of things didn't happen. Democrats are genocidal maniacs. The Republicans were going to do the same thing because they're owned by the same people. It was never going to be a situation where you're going to be able to avoid some of this by voting for either one of the main political candidates for which we were already backed into. The same people who own both political, both is basically what I'm saying. The same people have paid into both political parties. So there was no way to really avoid this unless you went away from those political parties and voted not only a third-party candidate for president, but third-party candidates for your House of Representatives in Congress. And so America was already doomed for a certain ridiculousness. And that's why I really don't find myself saying, oh, Donald Trump this, Donald Trump that. Because if you didn't go with the Democrat side of things, you're going to go with the Republican side of things. And both sides of things had a lot of things involved in them that were going to be awful going forward. Awful. And this is the Republican side of things, what we're seeing. It's how incredibly difficult it is to be a person of color in the country they control, bro. It's difficult. It's not something that you can avoid. Because if you went with the Democrats, they were just going to gaslight all of us in these different spaces and still throw us under the bus. The immorality of the day's world is on display every day for us to see. How we shove people aside for their differences, shove people aside because they think a certain way or whatever, live a certain way, color, skin, all that sexual stuff. Shoving people aside, man. And it just gets to a point where we got to ask ourselves, what comes of this behavior when we pass it forward to our children? What comes of this behavior when more individuals are raised to think that they're more important than others or that others are more important than them? I don't think a whole lot of good, man. We're extremely irresponsible in how we allow leverage to determine our moral compass in this country and in this world. Who has the money? They control the funding. If they control the funding, then nothing gets done without their funding, and we don't want to withhold their funding, so therefore we'll do whatever they tell us to do, no matter what it is. We've allowed that to go too far. That's what it is. In my opinion, the world has let that concept get way out of hand. There is a wisdom attached to having checks and balances, even if it means sacrificing certain things. Or sacrificing major things so that those checks and balances can be in place. If you let people who have the money control how the checks and the balances take place, then you're not actually checking and balancing any damn thing. The balance isn't there. And those who are controlling the thing are assuring they're not being checked. So the essence of why checks and balances are in place gets exposed. For why you should have checks and balances in place is ultimately thrown in your face. And the only thing that we're going to come around to learn is we should have had those checks and balances in place. Problem is, the people who allow it to get out of hand are taking the wealth from allowing this to be and shoving it into their pockets. So whatever wisdom that ultimately gets foregoed, they just avoid the consequences of that and carry off generational wealth to their children so that those children can continue to rig in the world in whatever way. We have to correct this, humanity. And I ain't just talking to America, because America is just one small drop in a great big bucket when I pay attention to what's going on around the world. A lot of nations are controlled by this same process of whoever controls the wealth controls the checks and balances system in this world, defeating the entire purpose of having a checks and balance system in this world. You let it go too far, you let the bad guys control things, and nobody is in a position to maintain their house while holding them accountable. That's what I think I'm seeing here. I don't think everybody agrees with certain things. I just think they feel like it's in their best interest to just go along with it. Some of y'all may agree with this stuff that you see. A lot of us are just too chicken shit to let everything blow the hell up so that it can be held accountable for it. You're in a damn meat grinder, but we need the meat grinder to keep this thing going. No, it's throwing children into the slaughter. Well, we're going to let it happen anyway. Why are you letting it happen anyway? Have you lost sight of the fact that children are your future? You're letting children go to suffer so that you can keep this system going? The system's meant to destroy people, destroy children. You're gonna let that be the case. Like, we don't understand why this is happening. This should not be happening. That's the point. This should not be happening. I want to say something, and I want people to understand. I mean well when I say this. If you are certain people and you're afraid of going extinct, if not for the destruction of other people, you do understand that you destroying those people is going to bring about your extinction. Are we not fathoming that is what this leads to? Because I've heard this concept in certain situations when I'm paying attention to this genocide in other areas too, where people are afraid of being extinct, so they are in fact against other people, against other people's existence, for the fear of their existence being washed away because of the presence of those people and all that they believe comes with that. Do you not understand that you are literally moonwalking into the same thing that you're trying to avoid? And that there's no one in a position of power and influence able to articulate that properly allows for people to avoid wisdom, follow ideologies that welcome their own destruction and the destruction of others. Can we at least find that concept hinted in anything at all around us? Because I promise you, there are a lot of people who genuinely want best for their people who are going about it simply the wrong way. And it's causing a lot of suffering in other people's lives. And it's going to be a lot of people from the group that's doing this to them that are going to suffer because of the suffering that they ultimately are allowing to take place. You want to push people aside, take their land, and give yourself a home. As a result, everyone's going to despise you and want to see your home destroyed. Why would you want to build a home that everyone wants destroyed? Why would you want to have a land that everyone's going to want to see bombed someday? You're going to put your kids in this space and you done created so many enemies all over the world that everyone wants you dead? Why does that make any sense to anybody? Wouldn't you feel safer if you made friends? Why is that concept not in your practices? Making friends makes you safer, not creating enemies, not creating trauma in people's lives that will make them undyingly intentional on bringing forth that suffering back to you. That ain't gonna make your house a peaceful home. It does the opposite. So what are you actually welcoming into your life when you wage war against people in the name of your own preservation? You're not going to be able to wipe all those people out. And if you are able to wipe those people out, now you got 7 or 8 other people who are going to hate you for doing so. You're still not safe. This is the problem. This is the problem that a lot of people are avoiding as they continue going forward, trying to bring about something that they think brings one thing that actually brings something else. We're going to kill all these people. We're going to wipe away their land and we're going to build something here and we're going to have peace where it's only us. Only you? You share the world with everyone. How is it only going to be you? You know what I'm concerned you're going to end up turning into? You know those people in these places that you haven't found but once or twice, that every time you bring a guy over there, they shoot him down with a bow and arrow? That's what y'all going to end up being. Shut out from the world and everything that come with it. One person come visit you and like 35,000 people die of the disease that he brings because you ain't got no immunity to nothing that is outside of your circumference. That's what you guys are welcoming into your futures thousands of years from now by creating and waging war against literally everyone for the sake of your own preservation. You're going to find yourself by yourself thinking that it's peace that comes with that. Ain't no peace that come with that. That's not what comes with that. Y'all got an idea that doesn't actually paint a picture that tells you what happens when you do what it is that you're doing. We're going to hate ourselves into a corner and then we're going to be in peace. That is not how that works. We're going to hate everybody, push them all away, try to kill as many of them as possible, huddle up together in the name of ourselves, and then we will be at peace and safe. That doesn't bring about safety. That doesn't bring about safety. No, you're not safe. You're creating enemies. How are you safe? The whole world thinks of you as a cancer. How are you safe? And so this is what I'm saying. Like, at the end of the day, people aren't thinking for themselves. They're taught how not to think for themselves. They follow their doctrine. Okay, but their doctrine was written by who? Someone who had bad ideas about what it is that was going to bring peace and harmony to the people that they loved or that they said they loved or whatever. That doesn't come with that. I'm going to ask these people who are involved in genocide. You say God told you to wipe away the sons of Amalek. You believe that. You're running with that. That's what you taught. That's what you teach. That's what time it is for you, right? The person who wrote that in the book, how many people did he envision you were talking about when he said to do this? Do you think that he had a certain number in mind and a certain context as to how they were going to go about this? When he told them to do that, when he wrote that in his book, it was probably like 1,000 people. The sons of Amalek were probably about 1,000 people. not an entire race of people that ultimately transpire from that. He didn't tell you to destroy all of those people under the context of what it is that you're living by. That was not in his head. He didn't have any context for which to even know that would be possible for what it is he was projecting. He didn't tell you to do it on camera, traumatizing the rest of the world. And as protesters protest against it, rig the world against him. Like, that creates more hatred, that creates more dominance against you. In the long run, that creates more of a threat. You're following somebody that didn't even know the context of how you would be living in the future. What would be going on when you decided to go about trying to accomplish his will? If he knew how the world would be spinning, he would probably have different ways of approaching this problem. Did he know that you would inherit the world in the way that you did? That you would have governments under your control and financial and educational institutions at your beck and call? When he told you to snatch the sons of Amalek off the earth, do you think that he had that in mind for the people he was telling that to? They would have so much to lose. Just going forward. Where are we going forward? Going forward. It's the essence of what the devil wants all of these people to be. Just going forward. Not questioning anything. Just moving. God doesn't want you to lead to your own destruction. God doesn't want you to lead to your own deterioration as it pertains to your reputation and what it is that you own. God doesn't want you to give back all of what it is that you found. The devil wants you to do that. He's a liar and a deceiver. So of course you're going to think you're doing this in the name of God if you're doing it for him. He ain't going to let you know it's him. If it's a big enough thing, he sure ain't going to put his name on it. But if you read the energy properly, you're going to know who it is. If you count how many people get hurt from what it is that you do, you're going to know who it is. And that's the problem with following indoctrination down a path without questioning it. You don't read the energy. The energy tells you what you need to know. Who's crying out to God in response to what it is you've done? The people you've done it to, right? You hurt somebody, you made them sad, you took their child off the earth, now they're crying out to God, oh my God, help us. You think God told you to do that, so now he has to hear their cries? Think about this for a second. That's not how that works. A lot of us are following indoctrination without reading the energy of what it is that we're being told to do. Without taking into context, the concept of those who told us to do it, not knowing what was going on in the time that we would actually try. Read the room. You can read the books, but you ain't gonna read the room. A lot of y'all are so fearful of being extinct that you welcome extinction. A lot of y'all are so fearful of being taken advantage of that you allow the devil to take advantage of you. A lot of y'all are so afraid of what happens when you're weak that you allow yourself to be seen as the most weak. And that's exactly what the devil does. Deceive you all the way to your own destruction. He lives in a lie, pretending he's not there. Trying to convince others around him, anyone who will listen, that he doesn't exist somehow. And if they're stupid enough, they'll believe that. If they're brainwashed enough, they won't question it. And this is why I'm here to tell y'all that we have to use our own brain when it comes to our religion. When it comes to what it is that we believe. There has to be a relationship with something greater than yourself in place. It just can't be you following the indoctrination of a structure of religion. Because a lot of this religion is meant for a time that you do not exist in. Your God understands the context of your time if you have a direct relationship with him. But the religion was written for a time when it was only 70,000 people on earth. And because we don't question those structures, we end up making mistakes. Real bad mistakes. And that's what I'm here to tell people, man. As we go forward, and you want to make certain mistakes on purpose, leading other people to their doom so you can pick up the pieces, that's a different conversation. You know what you're doing. You're intentional on doing that. Some of us really want the best. But we're not smart enough to rub two thoughts together that would lead us to a wiser decision than what it is we're doing. A lot of us know how to structure ourselves in the world and get money and rob property and control governments or whatever the hell you're able to do, but you can't read energy strong enough to know that some of the stuff that you're doing shouldn't be done. How are you so intelligent and so stupid at the same time? How are you so powerful and so weak at the same time? If not for the presence of a deceiver in place that allows that to be. Entire governments allowing themselves to believe that they need to wage war against poor people who don't have a damn thing. Because to save themselves.
Excuse me. Sorry.
If you have any thoughts in your head, you know those people can't hurt you. Why do you wage war against them? There are wealthy people, whales of people, that are your true rivals. Individuals with ambition in their hearts and intelligence aligned with their DNA. You don't tell yourself that those are the people you need to be stopping? You tell yourself that the Palestinian people who you've had under your thumb for 75 years are your greatest threat in a world like this? You'd have to be under some trance to believe that. We got to destroy them. The Arabs are our problem. The whole world is watching you do this. Unhappy with you for doing it. You have real enemies now. Because of that. And you don't see that? It's the craziest thing in the world. They think their biggest enemy is the poorest people in the world. Not knowing that they are welcoming 20,000 times more suffering than what it is that they would otherwise be taking from the people they claim did whatever they did on October 7th. Don't you know there's 1 million people more now that want to see another October 7th happen to your people? One that you don't control this time. Yes. Just because you wanted to wage war against these people who didn't have nothing. And you want the world to follow you down this path of lacking wisdom. It don't make no sense to nobody that isn't absolutely indoctrinated in something that's leading them astray. And you can have 1 million people agree with you that this should be done. But the consequences of doing it do not make them right, nor you when those consequences hit. They still hit the same. Whether you're held accountable for it or not, you still awoken a world full of people that want to see you suffer now, who didn't think nothing of you before you did that, who didn't even know you control so much. Now they digging all in your stuff knowing what you control. Boycotting everything you own. We didn't even know you owned it. But because you wanted to wage war against those people who could not do nothing, against their children no less, now we got everyone with any type of thought in their head pointed at you, saying you are the reason why all the suffering in the world is going on. And you think this is going to bring about your safety. Call yourselves intelligent people, and this is what you think. We structured this way, whether it makes sense or not, we're going to force it to make sense. And you think that makes sense. I wish one of y'all Zionists would just wake the hell up. Seriously, bro. Wake the hell up. Because your mentality, literally, is the same as anyone else that's structured in a group without thought. It is no different. I don't care how much power you got, how many books you read, how many books you wrote. You're still just following people down a path without logic attached to your actions. Attached to your ideology. There's no logic to this. It doesn't bring about what you think. God ain't about to bless you for any of these behaviors. Babies are being slaughtered and stuff. Y'all sitting up here dancing in circles and losing people by the second. It does not add up to anything prosperous for you. You're harming babies, and you've agreed to this, and you think good things are coming your way, but you don't. And you don't think you serve the devil, but you're hurting babies in your name of yourself, and you don't think you serve the devil. Like these, it's like, come on, man. As I said 10 minutes ago when I was walking down that street, if you intend to do wrong, as long as you're not lost upon that, hey, man, you're doing what you're doing. You'll be held accountable, you'll be looked at, you'll be shunned, whatever the energy comes with that, you'll get what comes with that. But to be mistaken is the most egregious aspect of this circumstance. To think that you serve God when you're harming people and harming children is the craziest thing, man. Rigging governments to align with that. I'm telling you, bro, to be mistaken in that space is the worst thing for you. Don't be mistaken in that space. Just because everybody around you agrees and it says that in the book, don't be mistaken. What comes of that is awful for you. It's awful for the people that you do it to, too. It's awful. And you can control the world a million ways over, and you're going to lose it just the same, man. Learn from the wisdom that comes from those who are suffering the pains of doing what you did and falling thereafter. We've seen enough of it. Have we not? Maybe you're exempt. You didn't learn from the last person who thought that way, huh? When they fell, after thinking that they would never get touched. I mean, at some point in time, we just got to say enough is enough, man. I get it. I get it. You believe this. You think this. You've been taught this. Your grandmother taught this. You want to stay sacred to your teachings. But do you think grandma would want you to continue on a path that was wrong? If she looks down at you or looks up at you, whatever it is, do you think she wants you to lead down a path that's going to create suffering for you? No, she was just simply mistaken in a lot of cases. It's not for you to follow something that now you can see is wrong, you're still going down. She does, just in her name, she don't want you to do that. And that's what I'm here to tell people, man. Stop following people down a road that is starting to become clear to all of us that is not the right road. That's what I'm saying. Don't follow people who don't have the context for how you're living and what it is that's going on around you, telling you to do things that were meant for a world with 30,000 people when you're in a world with 30 billion people or whatever it is. You see what I'm saying? Bdf 44, I thank you all for watching. I'm out.